Turkish, you're notoriously hard to please, I think it's fair to say. But even you must have looked at that and thought, yeah, man, nice work.
Yeah, I mean, aside from Porto, 2024 calendar year, I've been more than pleased. Can't get enough of the football I'm seeing.
Can't get enough of Havertz, yeah?
But we'll talk about Havertz. I think we might as well touch on him now. I mean,
yeah, let's talk about it.
Back-to-back good games from him. Back-to-back quality, back-to-back impact. Being part of it, like I said, it's not just goals or assists I'm looking for. It's being part of the overall play and wanting it. And I think when I look at his goal in particular, he could have easily just cut it back to I think one or two players that were running in there for an easy tap-in. Yeah. He didn't even think twice. Head down, strike, and he got his goal. On top of that, I think he's been a nuisance up top the last couple of games. And that assist was something as well. I mean, the way he brought it down, the cut-in, and then the layoff to Ben White. Beautiful finish, by the way. I think back-to-back quality games from Havertz. Listen, Arteta said he was a midfielder coming in. The best of Havertz I've seen, and James has been saying it, has been up front. Now, last year when Jesus was bagging goals and, then he got the unfortunate injury, I always said that I feel like we need another type of striker, a striker that's tall, a striker that's a bit more physical, a striker that can be a bit more of a nuisance. And I suggested Tony because I like having a different choice, a plan B. Yeah. So maybe Havertz is that different choice now up top. Maybe, when we do go ahead this summer and buy a striker, in all likelihood, that's what it seems like we're going to do. Maybe Havertz's best role is to supplement the new striker or, rotate with the new striker and maybe we go and get a Frankie de Jong or someone along those lines. So it's good to see he's having an impact. That's all I wanted,
No, to be fair to you, you've said all along, and I've said it as well. We wanted to see him impose himself on games and be that guy.
Yeah, because
I think now we're seeing it. It looks like he's arrived.
Yeah, because Laurie, I mean, I've mentioned his wage quite a bit, and I don't think people are getting their heads around it. I mean, when you're the highest paid player at a club like Arsenal or any big club in the world, creating space and being the decoy for others it's not enough. You can get that for cheaper. This is more of what I want to see. Having an overall impact in the game, being a nuisance, being someone defenders don't want to come up against, showing a bit of technical quality. Yeah. Like I said, the touch and turn for that assist quality, like the goal, confidence quality. So more of that.
No, you're absolutely right, because we both said from time when we were watching him, and Pete was having a go at us and saying, yeah, but he's putting the work rate in. We're saying, look, that's fine, but we want to see a bit more than work rate. A guy that's come in with a big name, big reputation, big price tag, 65 mil. We wanted to see a bit more. And to be fair to him, we're now starting to see it. He looks like he's arrived in the team. So fair play to Havertz and fair play to you. You've given him his props, and that's good to hear that. Talk to me about some of the other guys in the team. I particularly was impressed with Ødegaard today. I think for the last 2 or 3 games, he's been outstanding, to be honest.
Yeah, probably the man of the match. I mean, he got the man of the match, and I think he probably pips it. I think there's a few players in with a shout, but we'll touch on Ødegaard first. First half of the season, a lot of question marks. He coming off the back of a great season. I think it was 15 goals in the end. I think there was something about highest scoring midfielder since De Bruyne, or matched up De Bruyne's highest season, or something along those lines last season. So big shoes to fill this season. And it didn't start off great for him. But it didn't start off great for us overall. Overall, in the first half of the season, we wasn't our fluid self. We wasn't really quick in the transition. We were still controlling. But the main thing is we stayed in and around the top. So if it was to click, like it seems to be clicking now, would have a lot more, of a base or a platform to win the league off of. So Ødegaard was one of a few players in the first half of the season that seemed like he wasn't his usual self. This calendar year, he's really stepped it up. He's one of a few that's really stepped it up, and mainly in attack, but Ben White as well, we're touching on him. And this is quality. This is when Ødegaard came in that summer, it was a question mark of Ødegaard and Maddison. Maddison's quality, but he's very different to Ødegaard. Ødegaard's a conductor, he's a controller, he's someone that he doesn't always look for the defense opening pass, but he's always looking for the ball. He's always
you're right. I think with Ødegaard, what I like about him is he kind of epitomises the way Arsenal play, in terms of the way he leads the press, things he does in and around the box with the ball. It's very the way we're playing right now, and Ødegaard is a lot behind that. So he's the catalyst for a lot of that. So yeah.
And we're coming from an era where, listen, quality-wise, Ødegaard can't touch Ozil, but work rate, that's something that let Ozil down, especially towards the end of his Arsenal career. That Europa League final was probably the tip of the iceberg in terms of quality player, but not enough application. With Ødegaard, you can never deny the application. Even in poor performances, he applies himself, he works hard. And like Roy Keane said, it's his job. But in this day and age, with the amount of, bougie players going around, the amount of money they're making week in, week out, the entitlement sometimes, you don't get work rate often. And especially not from players that are as cultured as Ødegaard on the ball. More often than not, you got cultured players, they want to be let off a little bit because they know they've got that quality. Ødegaard, none of that. He leads the press. He's been captain for a couple of years now. And he's a young man, potentially leading this team into an era of majors again, And if he is to be that man that leads in terms of the captain's armband, he will write his name into history books pretty soon.
Definitely. You mentioned Ben White as well earlier there. I thought he was outstanding again today. Got a goal as well. Looked assured, accomplished. He looks like he's having a really good season, especially since that break in Dubai. He's come back and he's turned in some stellar performances.
Who?
Ben White.
Ben White. Yeah, 100%. Again, another player that first half of the season. I think people were quite harsh on him. I think he wasn't the Ben White we saw of last season, but again, we didn't see much overlapping. It looked like a tactical change. There was some tweaks. Even now, we're seeing him invert, which I think is another, is another facet to the way we play now. We can invert from left, we can invert from right. And Ben White, I think the goal capped off a nice turnaround in 2024. A turnaround in terms of people are noticing the quality he possesses again. For me, Ben White, last 18 months, 2 seasons, he's a top 3 right back in this league. People can say Reece James, and yes, Reece James, if he plays, he's ahead of him. He doesn't play. Trippier last season, quality. Trippier this season, not so much. Kyle Walker, legend in the Premier League, falling off. I think Ben White's up there with the best right backs in the league at the moment. He just doesn't get the flowers he deserves, and he's shown he can be that traditional right back where he overlaps and maybe inverts into a back three. Not inverts, slides into a back three with Zinni inverting. Now he's shown he can invert himself. So any situation being asked of Ben White in that right back position, he seems very capable of handling, whether it's an overlap, whether it's a back three, or whether it's an inverting into midfield. He's done it all in the 2.5, 3 years he's been here.
No, I would agree with everything you said there. He's been brilliant. Let's project forward slightly. We saw Liverpool at the weekend, we saw City, now we play today. Moving forward, how do you rank the 3 in terms of who's playing the best football and who looks more likely to win the title come May?
Well, clear right now in terms of playing the best football and who looks like, they're on the right path. We're clear, but, and it's a big but, because this weekend, it was one of those weekends where I look at Liverpool, 0-0 Forest, 80th minute, 85th minute, 90th minute. It looks like they're about to drop some, big points. I'm looking at the table thinking, all right, if they drop 2 here, what does 3 do for us? It means we're level on points. I know this because I checked at that time. 99th minute, Liverpool get a winner. Man United, Man City, man, they ain't going to do nothing. 1-0 up at half time. You're thinking, shit, maybe 50th minute. I think it was still 1-0 then. 1-1, and you know what to expect after that. So as much as we're playing the best football, as much as, it looks like we're on the right path, we're clicking at the right time, Liverpool, Man City, they've been there, they've done that, they've, shown they can pick up 10 wins in a row. They've got experienced players that have won at the highest level. That's a big difference. So as much as we are, in my opinion, right now playing the best football in the league, it's not a given that this will lead us to a title. We've left ourselves with some work to do to catch them. They play each other this coming weekend now, and then we play Man City. So I think 1st of April will be much better placed to say definitively whether we believe we're going to do it or I believe we're going to do it or not.
I hear you on that. It makes a lot of sense. What would you say to the suggestion? I mentioned this to James Hill. I was trying to look for the phrase, but it escaped my attention. Now I remember it. So some people might suggest that we're a bit of a flat track bully at the moment because we're playing these teams and we're smoking them. So no one's giving us a really hard test. So it could be that by the time we play City, it could be that when we're in that blood and guts battle that we might have forgotten what it feels like to be in that. Are you concerned about that, or are you just happy to take these, let's face it, one-sided matches at the moment?
I'm happy to take it as it's coming at the moment, because last year leading up to the City games, both times we kind of dropped off in form. We faced some difficult challenges. We was dropping points. So That didn't bode well for us. This time round, it seems like we're going to be going in all guns blazing. Listen, that all depends on Porto as well, and Brentford too. Yeah. We beat Brentford and we knock out Porto, we'll be going into that Man City game all guns blazing. So I think...
I know it sounds a kind of weird question, but, you know, you do get that in sport where you get a team that's rolling over teams. They're not providing much resistance, as indeed Sheffield United were today. They didn't. Let's be honest, they were nowhere today. They didn't give us a test.
No.
But sooner or later, we're going to come up against a team that's really going to put it. It could even be Brentford on Saturday, because Brentford are a good team. They're not in the best of form at the moment, but we know that on their day, that they are capable. So I guess there's that slight feeling in the back of some fans' mind that when we do meet that test, we may not be battle hardened because we spent the last 5-6 weeks just beating teams up.
I think that's why Arteta's made some of the changes he's made this season tactically, and why we had to maybe go through the first half of the season looking at the team thinking, is there something wrong? You know, is the transition right? The attack's not flowing? Because I think he's set us up to be better against Liverpool, be better against Man City. And you know, the proof's in the pudding, he'd say, this season. Community Shield, Man City 1-1. Liverpool, league, draw and a win. Man City in the league, a win. So this season, it doesn't compare to any other season if we're talking about Liverpool and Man City and being able to get results off them. So the next step for what we needed to do is to be able to play the Liverpools and Man Cities, the teams that have the know-how, have the experience, they've been there and done that, get results from them, but also do what we're usually doing against the lesser teams, the teams we should be beating. It looks like we found that right balance. Obviously, come 31st of March, we'll know whether we found that right balance. At this moment in time, I'm looking at City and I'm looking at some of the teams causing them trouble, even at the Etihad, and I'm thinking, let's get past Brentford, let's knock out Porto, and I'll be very confident going into that game to take something.
Yeah, agreed. Just finally, an injury to one of your favourite guys, Martinelli there. Looked like he was in a bit of pain. Was hobbling off at the end there. Hopefully he'll be all right for the game against Brentford, but I've got to say, looking at it in isolation there, it did look like he was struggling. I guess my question to you is, do you think he'll be fit for Saturday? And if not, who do you like to see come in?
I mean, if you look at how he got injured, you wouldn't expect him to be out on Saturday if you just look at the incident. But if you look at the way he dropped down, walked off the pitch, walking down the tunnel, it didn't look good. He couldn't put any weight on it. So
and that's probably going to swell up tomorrow, isn't it?
I'd rule him out. Look, for him to go from that challenge or that incident to 2 minutes later, that sort of condition, it must have swelled up real quick. There must have been stud to ankle or just something there because it looked innocuous. It didn't look like it was anything big. But if he can't put weight on it, he'll be out of Brentford, which I don't think should be a major problem for us, even though it's unfortunate because, you know, he got a goal. I think in the first half, he was a candidate for one of the best players in the first half. But I just hope he's back for Porto. I think he's the type of player, you know, that.
So you would rest him for Brentford game, probably, and then hopefully you'll be fit for the Port. Yeah, that makes sense.
Trossard can come in. You know, I mean, he's been part of a couple of these big wins as well in the past few weeks this year. So I don't see no problem in him coming in and stepping. Jesus is back. He can start on the left. So we've got options.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Turkish.
Nice one.